Primpers, welcome to another live stream. We're here today with Dimitri Fronis, Creative Director of Cloud9, and he's going to show us all how to get that amazing softly textured beach wave style that we've been talking about so much on Primped this week. So, hi Dimitri,
you're right.
Let's get going. What do we have to do?
Okay, so in prep, you really, a lot of the questions is like, where do I start? So the easiest way is just to get the top away, just very random with your fingers, take it away like we have here and just clip that away. So that'll leave you with the remainder of the hair. Then usually, especially with girls with medium length hair, the worst thing is they want, when they're creating movement, they don't want it to shrink up. So just leaving all the exterior out and getting the bulk of it away. So realistically, we're talking about 1, 2, 3 sections, and your third section really is the perimeter. So we've kind of like prepped a little bit here. If you've got like hair this length, realistically you don't want to be doing much curling under here because you end up too short. So you can actually start your movement from this secondary section,
right.
With say your length hair, which is fine here. So the technique basically is very, very simple. Just take vertical sections, just very randomly. You pop your Cloud9 in on vertically, and all it is a slight twist, glide, slight twist, glide, and it's all towards the ground. And then with the last section, you don't rotate much at all. So you end up with the last section a little bit kind of almost curved, but not straight, or fairly straightish.
So you want it to be
yeah, because when you think about beach hair, it's always just that little bit straighter on the end and just wavy through here. I mean, you do want to just maybe prep it or use some sea spray along the way, because realistically it's the combination of the texture. So I'll just give you another go here. And then
I'll also just say that we have Cherie, our beauty writer, tweeting all this right now. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask Dimitri or any of us, tweet them, and Shezi will read them out so we can answer them while this is happening. So that you can, it's all very interactive here, Primpers. We want to hear your input as well.
Yeah. So just to recap, you're literally almost on a vertical, rotate pretty much 180, but because we're going towards the ground, we're actually giving it more of a flat movement,
right.
And just towards the ground. But remember, on your third twist, you don't twist much at all, so you end up more like so. So you can almost see you're getting the movement through there, but you're getting the ends a little bit more relaxed.
So the key is to have the ends straight and...
Exactly. So you rotate, like, just do it again here. So
So, about that much hair? A bit less.
Yeah, maybe a tiny bit less. And it's actually good to take your sections more vertically as well, so you end up a little bit more kind of broken and ropey, and you don't end up too wide, because if you put your iron in this way, you'll get it too wide. So it's better to go more vertical. So again, and it's good sometimes to go forward and then start the opposite. So you glide towards the ground, twist, glide towards the ground. And then your last one, you almost don't turn much at all. You just almost go a bit straighter. So even if you get a bit of a bend like that, that's actually quite fine. If you decide to go a bit more contrast, then you can just not curve as much at all on the end. If you like, as you go, you just a very, very light sea spray, and you can see how that just breaks up the movement. So that looks pretty cool. Do you want to give it a go?
So you want a sea salt spray to give your hair some texture. That's kind of the key product in order to recreate this look.
Absolutely.
As well as kind of using your styler to create the shape almost.
Absolutely. I think too, like if the hair's overly soft, you need to kind of prep it a little bit. And if you're going out and you want this look, perhaps it's best just to shampoo the hair the day before.
Right, so it's not as bad as
overly
kind of really clean hair.
Yeah, you can still work it, you just need a bit more product, that's all.
So for example, Primpers, today I came in, I washed my hair last night, and I didn't put any product in at all because I wasn't sure what Dimitri wanted to do with it. So it was very much freshly washed hair.
Yep.
So he just put in, he put in the Redken wool shake product, which is, I guess, a sea spray, or how would you?
It just gives it a bit more of a powdery finish. It just gives it in preparation for really, really slick, shiny hair, but you're wanting a matte texture to it. But the sea spray really is something that, you can't go wrong if you were to pick a product as well, because that kind of goes across the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
The good thing about this, using a sea spray, you can actually use it on wet or dry hair. So if you're going to just put it in on wet hair, you can leave it dry naturally, and when you dry it off, then you can use the iron straight away. or if you're going to iron and you want that texture, you actually do like what we did, is spray it first, and then use your iron over it, and that actually helps with the movement.
Right. So that when I came into our studio today, Dimitri prepped my hair with the wool tape, which is essentially a texture product. So if you guys have washed your hair or you have really clean hair, start with a texturizing product, and then he just blow dried that through. If you don't want to do that and your hair's not super clean, you can just go in with a sea salt spray and spray that in. And you do that before and after you clean?
Usually I can, yeah. Like I could go straight into a sea spray, spray it in if the hair was wet, and just dry that in first before I use the iron.
Okay.
And then as I'm going, if I feel like I need to reapply. And then ultimately when we finish, it's always good just to give it a last squirt of sea spray just when you finish, just to break it up a little bit more. If you find areas that you want a little bit more sort of like fullness with the iron, especially when you're coming around this kind of like the widest part of the head, and you want a bit more, not so flat, you want a bit of texture in through there, right. All you need to do with the with your Cloud 9 is just lift it up a little bit more when you're turning the first go, and then drop it back down on the second go, and then go almost again straighter. So what actually tends to happen, you get that tiny bit of a lift there,
yes.
But then you still get the flatness of that, so you don't end up with, you know, too wide. So you really, to get a bit more lift, you rotate up instead of straight down on the first one.
Yep.
And then turn and go back down.
Do you want all of the sections going in the same direction, or it doesn't matter so much?
It probably doesn't matter for this look as much in a way. It's probably more around the front. Just try and go a little bit more forward.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you can just play around with it.
And I know a lot when we talk about curling your hair on Primped and kind of getting a different look to this, but we always say curl away from the face. Does it matter so much with this look, what direction?
I think these days, I mean, gone are the days where we all want this really overly flicky going back, I think. Now it's really more about dishevelled.
Yeah.
So I actually like to go a little bit more forward with it.
Okay.
So I like to sort of like come through here and go forward and then go back.
Right.
And then sort of go forward again. I like to do that around the front because it's a bit more hugging.
Yeah.
And if you're going to take your next section, then you can go the opposite direction. Okay. You can take this one back, so they interlock with each other. So you go this one back and then down. And remember, on your third go, you almost want to go a bit straight like that. See how all these ends are very relaxed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because where you can go wrong with this style is if you rotate your Cloud 9 too much on the ends.
Yeah, then you kind of get more of
too much of a pretty full, which is fine if that's what you want, but if we're going for this textured look,
yeah.
you literally want to rotate only from the mid-length area, so 1, 2, and remember your third especially goes straight all the way down.
Okay.
And that gives you...
Because that is what we've seen on the shows at Balmain, on runways from Balmain, and as well as celebs like the Olsen girls. They always have those straight ends, and I think that really is the key to setting this style apart from other kind of more dishevelled looks. How are you guys going over there?
I'm wondering, you say you got 3 turns, which is easy for when they got longer hair, but I've got shorter hair.
Yeah,
and
so with
to turn a third time.
So with yours, you probably don't need to actually overly do, especially like it's good to utilize you know, the Cloud 9 with your own hair texture. So if you've already got some movement and this length, like I said, we're going to leave that